Welcome to See You on the Other Side, where the world of the mysterious collides with the world of entertainment. A discussion of art, music, movies, spirituality, the weird, and self-discovery. And now, your hosts, musicians and entertainers who have their own weakness for the weird, Mike and Wendy from the band Sunspot.
Da, 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 da,
Hey, the 4th of July weekend, everybody, coming off Independence Day in the United States.
That's right.
To our friends in the UK, we're sorry we took your land.
Oh.
But you guys have way better television, so at least you can live with that.
Yes, but hey, did you hear that laugh, that voice you might not recognize, or you might recognize?
I think it was a ghost.
There it is again.
Look at that.
What's happening here?
It's Ben from Sunspot.
That's
joining us
right,
today.
and we're at the rehearsal space.
Mm-hmm.
And
Happy Independence Day, everybody.
Yeah, we're just coming off of the big 4th of July weekend.
Yep.
So how was everyone's weekend?
Drank beer, sat in the sun, so it's pretty good.
There you go.
I would consider
Check.
that a success.
Yes,
That is
I
a
think it's a
success,
win because
yeah.
I wasn't having to work.
Yeah.
Except, Wendy, we worked this weekend.
We did, yes. We had a very fun time up at the Convergence.
Convergence Festival, where we played a set for everybody at the Sci-Fi Convention.
Yes, at
And
the
that was our
Harmonic Convergence.
Harmonic Convergence. That was our first real science fiction convention.
Yes. So now we can say we've done the paranormal conventions and the science fiction one. So
And
officially.
It was super fun in Minneapolis, thanks to Sharon and Rick, who we
Yes.
love
Yay.
deeply and grossly.
And to our friend Stuart as well.
yeah,
Who got us into a
man.
crazy dance party.
Stuart got us into the rave at the end of the night. It really was a sweet rave.
We literally, I don't know if you noticed, we don't have any more booties because we danced him off.
Yeah,
Shook him
gone.
right off.
We
Gone.
did.
You should see him. I used to
all
have
right.
a big old butt when I walked in here too.
But yeah, since we're here with
Smell
Ben, we
bad.
thought we would introduce you to Ben. So Ben, you want to say hi to everybody?
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah. And you've heard his guitar playing and you've heard his singing
Many
before.
times.
So you should know him
Now you're here speaking
from
with us.
the musical sense. But now you can hear him talk. So Ben, what would you, anything special you want to say to everybody?
Thanks for listening.
There we go.
Okay, good.
That's a good one.
And keep doing it. And if you guys like what you hear, check out othersidepodcast.com/DONATE.
Yes.
Spells
That's
donate.
right. Correct.
Spells
Donate.
do. Well, I
Nate.
don't feel like Nate. I don't like Nate, but don't do him. But donate us, and it would be great.
That's for our Patreon, our new way of supporting the podcast and
Yep, just put
recordings
that
and
up.
whatnot. So,
So okay,
Check it
but
out.
one of our favorite places as a band to go, and this place makes me think about
Oh, yeah.
Merca, Austin, Texas.
Yes.
yes. What's your favorite thing about Austin, Ben?
Everything, the people.
Yes, I agree. The people there are
The
phenomenal.
people are wonderful. Now, a
Yeah.
couple years ago, we played in Austin, Texas. This may be 5 years ago now. That was the first day, 6 years. Oh my God, 6 years ago now. It was
Stop
the
it.
first day
Wow.
that I went waveboarding.
Oh, yeah.
Remember waveboarding in the back of
Wakeboarding.
Swanee's boat? Wakeboarding.
Wakeboarding, yep.
And that was super fun. We got day drunk, wakeboarded, and then went to play at a place called the Ghost House that
Ooh,
night.
the ghost room.
The Ghost Room in Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
So today, we are talking to Mark Morrow and Billy Driver. Billy Driver is the guitar player in Gooding.
Hey, all right.
Such a great
yeah.
band. They should
Yep.
be called Grading.
They should be called Grading. They are a great band.
Yeah.
And they are also ghost hunters and paranormal investigators
Oh, cool.
in Austin, Texas. And they have a show on public television down there called Strange Town.
Nice.
And they were both on the Ghost Brothers, too, like just on Destination
That's
America
so
just
cool.
last month. So it's totally cool. And these guys are super nice guys, and I think you guys are going to enjoy the interview.
All right. Looking forward to hearing it.
Check it out. We're here today with paranormal investigators Mark Morrow and Billy Driver, the co-founders of Strange Town, which is a ghost hunting web series. Welcome, guys.
Hey, Mike. Thank you. Good to be here.
Yeah. All right. So give us the elevator pitch for Strange Town for people that might not be familiar with you yet.
Well, Strange Town is a paranormal investigative series. We investigate supposedly haunted locations throughout Texas, and we visit these locations and we talk to the people that are involved in them, whether it's a restaurant or a home or an empty field, whatever the case may be. We talk to them, we hear their experiences. We do as much of a thorough history as we can about the places. And then Billy and I go and spend the night there and do an investigation and see if we can recreate some of the evidence, some of the stories, and try to tie it all back into history.
When did you guys originally start doing the show?
We started about 2-3 years ago. We don't really know how we kind of talked about the subject at first, but one day we just started telling ghost stories about our own personal experiences. And the building we happened to be in, we've always heard rumors that there was something going on upstairs. And we only had a few things. I had like one camera that did night vision, and we had voice recorders and stuff. So we kind of got permission to go upstairs to this location and stay there overnight. Well, I guess for the most part. And that's pretty much where it all began. We kind of filmed it kind of like for our own sake. Mm-hmm. And we just got really good stuff. And I just kind of edited it together, and it just turned into this pilot episode.
Yeah, it started out very, very primitive.
How did you guys know each other in the first place? So let's go back a little bit. And, that you said you was telling each other ghost stories. You're like, hey, I think this place might be haunted. Let's break out the camera. How awesome is that? But were you guys buddies? How did you know each other in the first place? Because this is a big undertaking to do together. And I understand I've been in a band for, 20 years with the same people. And sometimes it's the relationships over that course of time. You're like, oh, yeah, I knew that guy in high school. I knew that girl in college kind of thing. And then it all comes together. So how did your team come together?
Well, other than being musicians, we both work in the freelance TV movie industry. So we met one day on the set of a local TV show here in Austin, Texas. I had been working there a while, and it was Billy's first day, and I tend to just come up to the new people and talk to them and help them feel comfortable in the studio. And there's a lot of downtime in TV, and there's a lot of time to sit down and talk about completely unrelated things to the job. And that's when we just started talking about ghosts and paranormal stuff. And I had mentioned to him that this particular studio that we were in that day could be haunted.
Oh, nice.
So that's how we first kind of hit it off.
When it came to music, did you guys hit it off too? Was there like any bands in particular that you could agree on, or was it like I like metal, he likes country kind of thing?
Well, I do like metal, and he does like country.
No, I'm a metal guy myself too. But we've never really talked a lot about music together. We both kind of do our own thing musically, and whenever we're together, all it is paranormal and ghosts. That's what our topic of discussion always dwindles down to.
Okay, well, make sure anyway that we'll put a link to any of your songs or something like that, or your YouTube channel on the show notes, because it's always fun to see other musicians who are into the paranormal and weird stuff like we are. So that's,
yeah.
I mean, musicians are weird enough. So when you add this element to it's extra fun.
Right.
So you guys met and gelled on a local TV show. And once you made that pilot originally, like, did you put it up on YouTube? Like, what happened next that it all of a sudden became like, you know what, we're going to spend a couple years of our life doing this?
Well, the great thing about filming the pilot was we had such basic tools. We had like things that anyone can have in their house, a voice recorder, or even, a laptop with a microphone.
Or your iPhone.
Yeah, we filmed a lot of it, several segments of it with our iPhones. And so it was very encouraging to see that we could use basic everyday things and gather such amazing evidence, and being our first time doing it together. So when we reviewed all of our evidence, and Billy, he's the editing master. He's the one that does all the editing for the episodes. He edited the first piece together, and it's like we had a story, and we had drama, and we had history, and we had evidence. And it really just invigorated our drive and our ambition to do it more and more and more. And even though on the internet it had like four views,
right?
The amount of views wasn't discouraging, or it didn't have any kind of factor in it. It was more that it was just fun, and there was a rush, and it was just really, really good to do.
And you get addicted by the whole process too, because then every time you go on the next one, you're like, well, let's, hopefully we'll find something more. We'll take what we learned from the previous one and adapt that to the next one. And so, we just started, after that one, we just started going to more like public locations, because we didn't really pitch these private places. So we would go to the park, and we would, you can't, we would, make our way into the park at night.
Yeah. we try to just early on get our feet wet. And then, the park Billy's referring to, it's this old bridge called Morrow's Crossing. And it's off limits at sundown. But as you know, as a ghost investigator, your best results are late at night. So we had to sneak into this park, fearing hobo attacks. And,
I think we're more scared of the hobo attacks than the ghosts.
Right.
yeah, early on, we just do whatever we can to get experience and develop our skills and learn new techniques. And as we got more comfortable with ourselves and with our ways of doing it, that's when we started approaching more well-known businesses throughout town.
But how long was it from that first night to your next episode? Kind of thing is it like, okay, we did this and for a couple months it kind of rolled around in our heads or whatever? Or was it like once you felt it, you were like, we got to go out and do this, man. We got to get out there. Like those ghost hunters have nothing on us.
Well, the thing is about Austin is there are a lot of haunted places, especially in the downtown area. There's a real dark history about this city that nobody really wants to talk about. So I think when we started doing this, we just, pretty much pitched everyone, and whoever would bite, we would, go there. And even if it was kind of iffy, we would still go and do it just, to build up the experience. And we got some, really good house calls as well. And people started referring other places to us, and we were starting getting calls to do all this stuff. So it really picked up quick because nobody in this town actually was doing anything like this. And
yeah, there were lots of little independent hobbyists, investigators doing it, but they weren't doing it to share their data or document the history of these places. They were just doing it for their own personal, we're investigators, we just want to do this for fun, but we're going to keep all of our evidence secret and we're not going to share it. So a lot of places around here did really seem to open up to us very quickly because they were excited about the history of their particular building getting out there and people finally getting to hear about it.
To take it back a little bit, I'm interested, when you guys were talking about when you were bonding on this, you mentioned your personal stories. So, and this is, when I tell people I work on haunted history tours and I've got this podcast where we talk about conspiracies and UFOs and ghosts, or, that gets me a weirder look than saying I'm in a band. Right? Usually in a band, oh yeah, you're in a band. In Austin, everybody's in a band. So that's, this is a great differentiator. But, you get that look from people like, you do haunted history. I don't even know what that means. And so to get from that, to the point where you guys are paranormal investigators, what happened to you when you were younger that you're like, what, this is something I'm okay with and I want to do it and it's a passion for me? Because I feel like it has to be a passion for guys like us.
It definitely is, but I don't even know where to begin. I grew up in a haunted house. It's pretty much my first 12 years. I grew up in a haunted house, and the spirits in there interacted with me and my family on a daily basis. So growing up, I got to experience a lot of stuff I still, up to today, I can't even explain. And the whole reason for the haunting was this house was built on top of a burial ground. So there's a lot of real unexplained stuff going on. A lot of things, I've seen objects levitate. I've seen full body apparitions. I've heard all the noises, the name calling. It would constantly talk to us. I've even experienced a brief moment of time loss as a child. So
were your parents like, well, we got the mortgage for it, so I guess we're here.
Well, the funny thing is I think my mom is sort of psychic a little bit, because she would tell me all the time, she would have conversations with them, constant every day. So it was like growing up with that stuff. I never felt threatened by it, but it was definitely creepy. And then when we moved out of that house I'd have little experiences here and there, but then into adulthood, I would start, getting a little bit more experiences. So, and then with the technology and everything that's kind of progressed, it kind of, brought back that interest to me to, what did I experience as a child and as an adult? And I kind of want to explore that, which kind of led to this, me being a paranormal investigator and, to Strangetown.
So you felt this, you felt this in your entire life?
Yes.
That's it. Okay, that's really interesting because, I hear a lot of stories where people are like, I never believed in this stuff. And then one day a Civil War soldier just walked into my living room and gave me a high five. And then I knew from then, it's real, all of it. And so,
the funny thing is a lot of skeptics I talk to, they're the ones with all the paranormal experiences,
right.
which is weird.
So you grew up in a haunted house, and how about you, Mark?
Well, when I first met Billy, he basically told me what he just told you, and I was so super jealous. As a kid, that's like all I wanted was to be able to experience those things, because somehow I was just a natural believer. I'm a skeptic, but it's the kind of thing I want to believe in. Like somehow I just knew there was something else out there, something happening around us. I was always like watching the X-Files and Unsolved Mysteries and that Leonard Nimoy show.
Oh, yeah.
And, I would find myself in the library reading books about the subject, just trying to learn more about it. Even though nothing was happening to me, I was still open to it and wanting it to happen. But I finally had my first experience when I was about 13 or 14 years old. I was going to go spend the night at a friend of mine's house, and he had told me that it's haunted, and he was so excited about it, and that upstairs in his room, the previous owner, who was this old lady, she passed away on her own in the bedroom. And the family, my friend's family, they could be coming home late at night and all the lights in the house would be on. And they didn't leave any of them on. And this was a reoccurring thing, especially this one particular hallway light upstairs. And so it was time to go to bed, and I started getting a little freaked out about all these ghost stories about people seeing a woman and hearing footsteps and lights turning on, that I decided to sleep downstairs. But I slept at the base of the stairs, and my head was kind of looking up at the top of the staircase. And around 2 or 3 in the morning, I woke up feeling just kind of uneasy. And I was having trouble sleeping. And all of a sudden, at the top of the stairs, I hear footsteps walking from like one door across the hallway. And when the footsteps reach the top of the stairs, I see there's no one there, but I keep hearing these footsteps walk across, and then all of a sudden, that light switch flips on. And I knew that in that moment, something that was unexplainable was happening, because here's these footsteps, an invisible entity, and something physical is happening.
Oh, that's great. Well, you're 13, girls are awkward enough, and now you got dead ones. That's even crazier. So that's great. So you guys both had things that led you to accept that there are things we can't explain, especially stuff that, I feel that there's stuff that's obvious. Like when you take a picture and you see a bunch of orbs in it or whatever, you're like, okay, we know that's dust and bugs. But when you see something like, well, I saw basically an invisible person turn on the lights, and my mom would make breakfast with the ghosts in the house, like those kind of things, leads you on. And so that's exciting. So when you guys started out, you got the TV show rolling, things together, got the pilot up, start to make it into a show. And since you worked in television, that seems like a natural, like a natural extension of your talents. What was the first investigation you had where you're like, I can't believe we got this on tape? Or on video, right? A tape. What am I dating myself here? But
well, you're right in that. Yeah, being in the TV industry, we do have the advantage of that. We know how to technically document things properly, and we have the ability and the technology, video and audio wise, to document these things. So that's a huge incentive right there, in that we have all this technology. So why not use it to help gather evidence and further document this weird stuff that's happening out there? And I think one of our very first official investigations is very memorable. I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe we captured this. It was a house in Maynard, Texas, brand new house. It used to be a cornfield, brand new subdivision. No one ever lived there. But right after the family moved in, they were seeing a little girl appear in one of the upstairs bedrooms wearing a nightgown, just looking sad, sitting on the end of the bed. And they described her as being around 12, 13, 14 years old. And when we went to investigate, we had a spirit box, and we were asking the numerous roundabout of questions based on what we knew and what we were trying to figure out.
And for people that might not know what the spirit box is, can you explain that piece of equipment real quick?
Yeah, a spirit box is a device that scans the radio waves at such a rapid pace to where it eliminates a white noise in between the channels, and supposedly a spirit can communicate in that white noise in real time.
So it's a way to electronically try to, if something or some creature, some entity, some spirit can mess with the radio waves, stop it at certain points and things like that, and communicate through it. That's what they're talking about bringing. Just want to, for the people who don't know what a spirit box is, like, what's a Ouija board or something?
Yes, it's an electronic device that emits white noise, and theory suggests that entities can use the white noise to speak. And yeah, like Billy mentioned, it goes through the radio waves so quickly that there's no really a chance that you're actually hearing the radio, because it's like hundreds of radio stations a second. So when you get a response or an answer, it's happening over hundreds of radio stations at once. So in this particular case, Billy asked, "How old are you?" And immediately we got the voice of a young girl saying 13.
Okay, and hold on. I believe that we have that EVP right here. So this is from the Manor House, and this is asking, "How old are you?" And we're going to play it real quick for you right here.
How old are you?
Yeah, you can hear it there.
Yeah, pretty weird.
And so that's coming from the box.
Yes, it's coming through the speaker that's also generating the white noise.
So you were in that room where they'd seen the girl. Was the family with you or anything at the time, or they kind of let you have the run of the house, or were they like, you guys, if you're going to be talking to the spirits, we're going to go to Pizza Hut or whatever?
That's pretty much what they did. Yeah, they gave us the house for the evening. But, what was intriguing about that place was the family that was living there had no idea who these spirits were. They had no idea of the stories of the land. And so we had our work cut out for us. So we kind of went into this investigation with the stories that they told us. So we really didn't know what to expect when we were there that night. But ever since we're there setting up for all our stuff, I mean, that house was pretty much active from when we got there to set up to the point when we left. And, there was also, there was a teenage daughter that lived in that home. And she, during our interview with her, she told us she once was taking a shower and she ended up with all these scratches down her leg. And she actually took photos of these scratches and showed it to us. So at that time of the evening, Mark, we were wanting to see if that would happen, and Mark can finish the story.
Yeah, she was also waking up with scratches on her body. And at first I was skeptical, thinking maybe she was scratching herself somehow, but it sounded like the scratches were in parts that you can't really reach on your own. And there was always 4 of them, like 4 scratches.
Okay.
So at this point in the night, we were in the room where this was happening, and I was getting kind of aggressive about my questioning and kind of demanding that something happen. And I was like,
you're going Zach Baggins style, like, come at me, bro.
Shirt off and everything.
Yeah, muscles and all that stuff.
I worked out just to go into that bedroom.
Nice. No post-production necessary for those muscles.
We even thought about just covering ourselves in tattoos,
Nice.
So I was getting kind of demanding, like, if you're here, you got to let us know somehow. Can just scratch one of us, make your presence known. And about 30 seconds later, I started to feel a warmth on my side, on my rib cage, on my left side. And at first I was kind of ignoring it, but it got more and more intense. And it got to the point where I lifted up my shirt, and lo and behold, there were 4 scratch marks going down my left side. and they were so deep that it even drew blood. And this all happened on camera.
And we had a REM pod, which is a device that emits electromagnetic energy, where supposedly spirit can touch it, it'll go off. And I put it right next to him where the scratch happened, and that thing just went berserk. So whatever was in the room was still standing next to him after it scratched him.
That's great. Which episode is that so people can find it?
That is going to be episode 2, and it's called Santa Claus.
Santa Claus.
It happened on Christmas.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. Well, looking at, you have another EVP from the Manor House, it looks like.
Well, this one, there's one where it goes to show how important doing history research can be. Because when we were investigating, we had the spirit box out again, and we got a random voice. Unlike any of the ones we had heard that night, it was distinctly a male saying, "Murder them," like murder them. And we didn't know what to think of it at the time, but upon returning home and doing some research in the area, we found a New York Times article from the early 1900s about a man in Maynard, Texas, who was like kicking down farmers' doors and killing people with a shotgun. And
Oh, man.
this all seemed very relevant. So we don't actually know if this is the long deceased shotgun man or one of his victims, but it's very interesting that we got such a strong, vulgar comment that ties into such a violent act.
Well, let's take a listen real quick. Yep, murder him.
Man, let me tell you, when I first heard that, man, I didn't know it was referring to Mark and I or what was going on, but I was like, dude, this is not right.
Well, when you guys go out there, when you're bringing a crew, do you have like a couple camera people with you? Do you have a sound operator, and it's just you two?
It's just us. We do it all.
So they couldn't be, he couldn't be talking about the boom operator. Like, no, just murder the boom. You're like, yeah, that's fine. I never liked that guy anyway. But no, so it's just you. So that's great. And so about how far away is Maynard from Austin?
It's about a 15-minute drive east down the highway.
Okay, so it's just a little jaunt.
It's a tiny little farming community. Well, it used to be a tiny little farming community. Now it's blowing up with population. But it used to just be a bunch of cornfields out there.
Sure. No, we played at this festival on a ranch in Dripping Springs a few times, and so you know how. Driving out there, I remember one time we had to stop our van because there's a massive snake in the road. And we were all like, well, I guess we got to wait for the snake to cross. But right, the middle of nowhere, it's fun. It's fun, and it's fun that you saw that you heard some things out there, and the scratches. So that's the episode Santa Claus, and we'll link to that in the show notes at othersidepodcast.com/98 is where you'll be able to find that. Okay, now let's keep going with some more of your investigations. You have some stuff from this place called the Magnolia Hotel, right?
Yes.
Now, where is that in Austin?
That is, the Magnolia Hotel is actually not in Austin. It's
Okay.
in Seguin. It's in Seguin, Texas. It's about an hour and 20 minutes southeast of here. And it is an abandoned, it is still abandoned. Yeah, it's an abandoned building built in the 1800s. And they have 13 spirits accounted for that roam in this building.
Nice.
And we were very fortunate enough to be one of the first teams to actually investigate this property.
It used to be a ranger station. Way back when, it was like a command post to help battle off the Indians. And over time, it evolved from a ranger station to like a horse and buggy depot. And then they actually kept adding on rooms to where it became a hotel. And it just kind of built upon itself to where now it's this big rectangular ghost trap house. And I think one reason it has so much energy in it is that it's made of a material called limecrete, which was a form of using limestone to make concrete. And as people that are into the paranormal know, limecrete seems in theory to be a material that holds energy well. So anywhere there's a lot of limecrete, whether it's above a town or the foundation of a building, it seems to hold that type of paranormal stuff. And this house,
Would that be like the stone tape theory, or the idea that stone can somehow record images like vinyl grooves could record music kind of thing? Is limecrete maybe the stone tape preferred medium?
I've heard of that, and I'm not quite sure if they're intertwined or not.
Okay, I wasn't sure. I hadn't heard of limecrete before, but is buildings built with that usually people find are more active?
Well, it's rare for a building to be made out of it because it was a method of use that was just in this part of Texas. But lots of buildings can be built on top of limestone under the earth, and limestone is thought to hold energy. Okay. So a building can be on top of it, but in this case, the building was actually made of it. So some people think that's why there's so many spirits concentrated in this building.
How did you guys hear about this place? Is it like an urban legend kind of place where you grow up and you hear about this, hotel out in the sticks where there's the ghosts everywhere, or how'd you hear about it?
When I first stumbled across it, it was actually not really known. It just new owners just acquired it, and
it had been abandoned for about 20 years before the current owner purchased it.
So I just stumbled across it while we were doing research trying to get our season 2 going on. Mm-hmm. And I just reached out to them because I guess there were some claims that the owners, felt or heard or seen, and they kind of put it up. I think it was like on a Facebook page. It was like Haunted Magnolia Hotel. And I was like, what is this place? So I kind of reached out to them, and then they agreed to meet with us, and we went there. And the moment we got there, we heard all their stories, and the lady who owns it's a little bit clairvoyant, so she kind of picked up on all this energy. And when we went there the first time, it was just creeping with stuff.
And it's not necessarily an urban legend to us being in Austin, but the more time we spent in Seguin, we realized it's an urban legend to the people in that city. The people that live there are all about the Magnolia Hotel. Everyone knows about it. Everyone knows the stories about it, the myths, the legends, the history, and the town just absolutely is fascinated with that place. So even though it wasn't on our radar, the whole city of Seguin was definitely aware of it.
Now, did the new owners want to turn it into a business? Like, are they trying to make it a hotel right now? Like, what are they trying to do with it?
Well, they want to turn it into a museum.
Okay.
Because there's so many artifacts have been found there, pictures of people that are relevant to the city. I mean, being a hotel, lots of people came and went, and there's there's logs of people when they came and arrived and left. And the owner, she's actually a historian. So she's gone through the names, and she has found lots of significant people that to Texas and to Seguin and New Braunfels and San Marcos. And she's finding relics of pictures and wristwatches and tools. And she's collecting all these things and making a museum out of it.
Okay. And so you hear about it, and then you go to investigate the first time. Now, when you first got in there and you said you felt it was creeping with something, was that a feeling, or did you, when you guys came in, was it just you? Did you get a little tour before the owner let you have at it with the cameras and everything? When you walked in there, what was the investigation like?
Well, she gave us a tour early on. She had already known a bunch of the history about who had died there and how they had died. So she shared that information with us because that's relevant as a ghost investigator. You want to know how people died and maybe who they might be. And just going on the tour through the upstairs part of it particularly, I always tell people that the best ghost investigating tool you can have is yourself. You can have all these fancy tools, you can spend hundreds of dollars on gear, but the body is so well tuned and aware of what's going on around it that you can walk into a room and you can just feel an energy, and you can tell if it's good or if it's bad. So as we were getting the tour, you would walk into a room and suddenly it would feel heavy and your chest would feel tight. Another room would feel happy and lighthearted and good.
Yeah, it's just a whole mixture of different energy that was all trapped within this building. It was real surreal.
Because lots of people, before we investigate, they'll give us a little tour of where things are happening. And usually it just feels like a normal place. Like, okay, I'm in a pizza restaurant. It feels like I'm in a pizza restaurant.
Right.
And, but when we start investigating, you start to notice these things. But this was the first place where, on the tour, we were already feeling that intense energy.
What particular room did you decide to start with then that some of the EVPs we'll be listening to today where you got them? Like, did you feel like a certain room? You're like, okay, guys, this is the place to try it out first because I can smell them in here.
No, I think when we first started the night, didn't we start in the bottom floor or did we start up top?
I don't remember, but the most intense energy was in a man named William Faust's room. He was an axe murderer who murdered a little girl, not in the hotel. He murdered her elsewhere, but his energy is still lingering in the building, along with the little girl that he murdered. They're both accounted for there. And I think that some of the most intense energy we have felt in that building, and many other people that visit the Magnolia Hotel, are in the room that William Faust stayed in after he murdered Emma, the little girl.
So did he, for a little history of it, so did William Faust, like, did he serve any time for it or anything like that? Or did he, just do the murder, like escape, and that's where he escaped to?
Well, he did he was staying there. He stole a horse. He went to the next city over, murdered the little girl, rode the horse back in the middle of the night, and then people were trying to figure out who did this horrible crime.
Right.
And eventually they realized it was him, and they threw him in jail. And while he was in jail, he got murdered. So it never really got resolved or went to court or anything.
Now, this is the thing. Now, did you know about the William Faust story before you guys were there, or did you hear something and then ask about it?
It was something we learned while we were doing our first tour of the building, that Erin, the lady who owns it, told us the story about Faust. And she even pre-warned us that if we were in his room for long periods of time, that he did not like it and that he would make sure that we left.
Okay.
And that's exactly what happened to us as the night went on.
Yeah, let's listen to that first EVP that you guys got from the Magnolia Hotel. Here they're asking a question about who's in the room with them, who's upstairs with them, and well, you'll hear the response. Here we go.
Who's upstairs with us? That sounded like Faust.
Okay. Now, that was with the spirit box?
Yeah.
Well, yes.
All right. And so how is the spirit box going to, like, that's a pretty specific kind of thing for a spirit box to say, you know what I mean?
Yeah, people are skeptical about spirit boxes because you're using noise from radio stations. A lot of people just blame it as, oh, you're just hearing a DJ. Oh, you're just getting like a walkie-talkie interference. But how often does someone on the radio say Faust at 3 a.m? You know?
Only on public radio.
In the room where Faust was staying in, which is mind-boggling.
Yeah. And of course, we heard that one in the moment. And not long after that, Billy asked, what's the name of the girl that you murdered? And immediately we got an answer to that as well.
Yep. Now let's check this out. Here's this clip.
What's the name of the girl you killed with an axe?
There it was, Emma, and not the Jane Austen novel. I mean, that's
Yeah, and it's amazing because you can clearly hear a male say Faust, and you can hear what sounds like a female saying Emma.
Yeah, which showed the validation of the history that once occurred in that building.
Now, which episode for people who would like to see some of this stuff in action? Which episode is this? Your Magnolia Hotel investigation.
That's going to be from season 1, and it's called Emma's Little Secret, and it's a 2-parter. The first part is all the history and interviews, and the second part is pure investigation.
That's great. And we'll make sure to link to that in the show notes. And of course, you guys are hearing the EVPs here thanks to our friends in Strangetown. You got one more EVP from the Magnolia Hotel, though. This one looks like some weird scratching right on the microphone. When did that occur?
Well, right after we got the Emma and the Faust hit on the spirit box, I was looking out the doorway of William Faust's room that we were in, and I saw a black, shadowy silhouette appear in the doorway and then quickly bolt away. And being the paranormal investigators that we are, we decided to follow the scary stuff.
Right.
So we packed up our gear and we went to where we saw the shadow figure. And later on, when we were listening back to all of the evidence that we had recorded, we had a tape recorder or digital recorder running and recording all night long in one of the rooms next to William Faust's room. And so we heard Faust, we heard Emma, and the moment before I saw the shadow person, on the audio recording, you can hear what sounds like fingernails scratching on the microphone of the recorder.
There's no cat like in the hotel or anything, right? No, like
No.
pets or anything? Okay.
It's just us up there.
Okay, and here we go. Yeah. If there's nothing in the room, what's going to make that sound? That's great.
Yeah, some kind of, we even recreated it. I got a voice recorder and I scratched my fingernails on the microphone just to see what it would sound like. And it's identical.
Well, good. I mean, it looks like, was that in a special room, like a particular spirit associated with it? Like William Faust has his room. Does that particular room have any particular spirit associated with it?
Where that recorder was placed, there is this particular entity in this room where we did learn years later that this spirit loved to scratch on walls.
Oh, okay.
So we're thinking that was what it was, but instead of scratching the wall, he decided to scratch on our voice recorder.
Okay, awesome. Now, you guys got to go back to the Magnolia Hotel for the with the Ghost Brothers, didn't you?
We've gone back a couple times. The first time we went was actually for Ghost Adventures.
Oh, okay.
And we met with Zach and the crew, and they interviewed us. And unfortunately, they had to cut out our interview due to time constraints.
Of course, they cut out the good part.
Exactly. That's right. They don't know what they're missing out on. But yeah, unfortunately, Billy was on tour at the time that the Ghost Brothers came through. So only I could go down there. But yeah, we went back and I got to investigate with them for a couple hours at the Magnolia Hotel.
And, with your experience with making your own reality show and then being part of a big budget reality show, did you hear any differences there that,
Well, we're not scripted.
Right.
And we don't have a fancy crafty table like they do.
We don't bring sandwiches with us and sodas.
Okay, but there was nothing like they're like, well, we got to make something happen here. They'd kind of just let the evidence roll as it rolled.
Right. The investigative portion of it, that was all real and legitimate. But all the stuff, I don't want to badmouth them, but all the stuff in between, they have a field supervisor and there's a producer, and everyone wants to make sure that everything's covered properly. So they do several takes on their conversation. And yeah, for me, that's a strange thing to be a part of, because when Billy and I film an episode, it's all just very in the moment and genuine, and we don't do double takes. You see what you get, and we like to leave the evidence up to the viewer to decide whether it's real or not. Unlike a lot of these shows where I feel like they're kind of forcing the evidence on us and trying to convince us that this stuff is really happening. And we like to leave it up to the viewer to make that decision.
Well, I think that's good to know, though, that you guys were there for part of the investigative portion, and you didn't, nobody was just BSing their way through it. that of course, if they find something small, they're gonna bachelorize the hell out of it and turn it into like, what do they see next? After the break, Satan himself shows up, but but it's always good to see. It's like, a lot of what they did was legit, because you get the people who are true believers and say that these guys wouldn't lie, paranormal state, it's all real, and then you get people that say it's all scripted. So know that they are looking for, they're doing their best to look for something. At the same time, they are taking whatever they get and they're sensationalizing it. That's I mean, you guys work in TV, that's the game.
Yeah, we don't sensationalize. We do our best not to. We try to react very naturally, and we don't try to get really super excited about it, and we don't add cuts right before something exciting happens. We want people to kind of feel like they're with us right then in the moment, and they're investigating alongside with us in our episodes.
Cinema verite, as well as far as paranormal reality can be. So, when I was listening through your EVPs before, a couple of my favorites I wanted to get to. This one from the Clay Pit restaurant. Now, to me, that just sounds like the person's in the room with you.
Yeah, that was a very, very clear answer.
So, let's set that one up real quick. Where's the Clay Pit? What kind of restaurant is it? Is it scary? What's the deal with it?
Well, the Clay Pit is kind of one of those urban legend things where I've heard about it my whole life. It's a Indian cuisine restaurant that's in between the University of Texas and downtown Austin.
Okay.
It's on Guadalupe Street. Amazing food. I recommend everyone go there. They're not endorsing me, I swear.
All right, I'll call the Clay Pit for a free dinner for getting in the podcast.
Yeah. Numerous stories about it and what is supposedly there. But in particular, the most interesting aspect of history is that it has a cellar. And the cellar of the building supposedly was an underground tunnel that fed, one of them went to the Capitol so that the Capitol could transport senators and legislators back and forth. It was also an underground speakeasy, which is why the people from the Capitol would want to come down there and have a good time. And it's also theorized that tunnels went to other parts of the city, to other speakeasies and other underground bars. And being such an illegal activity, there were supposedly numerous murders down there, particularly the ladies of the night, as you want to call them. And workers that work at the Clay Pit now, they'll go down there to take a nap because it's quiet and it's cool and it's away from all the crowded commotion upstairs. And they'll often wake up from their nap and they'll hear a woman saying their name, or they'll feel a gentle touch on their shoulder or a caress of their hair. And a lot of people think that it's probably one of the women that was murdered down there.
Well, you guys went down there, and let's hear what you heard.
Did you die in this tunnel?
Yeah, I mean that's really just something going yeah. You're like, okay.
She's very almost sounds very proud of it. Yeah.
Hey, you bet I did. No, that's great. And what episode can people find that in?
It is also on our season 2 series, and I believe it's just titled Clay Pit.
Clay Pit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We got tired of coming up with title names, so we started calling them the names of the location.
Go by the place. Well, just to wrap up, is there anything in particular you feel that you guys have found that feels validating, completely remarkable, or anything that you want our audience to be like, if you only have time to check out one piece of our evidence or one episode of the show that we think is the best thing we've done or the best evidence we got, which one would you say for that?
My personal opinion would be from season 2, the Hey Legal Group. Lots of validating EVPs and spirit box hits in relation to the family that used to live there. We repeatedly get their names said. They're intelligent enough to where one of them even says Billy's name. And very cool stuff happening there.
Well, let's listen to that one real quick because we can't just set it up. It really does say it, and here we go.
My name's Billy. Can you say my name, Billy?
Yeah, now they know who you are, Billy.
I know. See, that's the weird thing. It's hard to explain to people. It's like, there's obviously something there that was listening to me and responded to my question with my name. So it's kind of like us doing this and trying to determine what kind of parallel universe we're living in and how can this energy listen to what I'm doing or see what I'm doing and us be able to communicate with them. It's real. I think that's the kind of a drive that's kind of kept us going and, trying to explain this whole deal.
It's hard to imagine that you're in a dark room and something can obviously see you and react to you and respond to you, yet me as a human, I can't see it, I can't stop it, I can't prevent it, but there's some kind of energy that's able to do these things.
And the Hay Legal Group. Now, I assume it's lawyers that work there? And
yes.
And my wife's a lawyer, so I can tell you they're very skeptical about everything. So how did you hear about the place in the first place?
Well, this was one that was referred to us. A friend of ours knew one of the lawyers that worked there, and he was always telling her when they were going out to lunch together all the creepy things that were happening to him there late at night. And so she reported it to us and put us in contact with John Hay, who is one of the partners of the Hay Legal Group. And we started talking to him and all the people that work there. And you could tell that these people had seen some stuff. They had it in their eyes. They would get nervous talking about it. You could tell they were kind of skeptical, but they were so sure of themselves and what they saw, yet they were having a hard time believing it.
So then you guys came in and brought out your evidence.
Yeah, and everything we found was, related to the house and the property. And, as part of the from start to finish, this whole episode took almost a year because you know how lawyers are. They are very busy. So in order for especially for them to hand over their entire office to us with all the legal stuff later on,
time is money.
Long time.
You can't bill the ghost hunters.
Right. So we finally did it over the holiday season where everybody was on vacation. So that
smart.
explains all the Christmas decorations in that episode.
Well, we'll definitely link to that. And make sure you check the show notes to see all of these cool Strangetown episodes to learn more exactly about what Billy and Mark are doing, because they're having a ton of paranormal fun in Austin, Texas. And the show is refreshing. There's a lot of paranormal web series stuff out there right now. And a lot of it is not the easiest to watch. So don't let that scare you off. It's a pleasure to watch, and it's a lot of fun. And what's your website again, guys?
It's www.strange-town.com.
And you can find us all over social media. Our handle is @Strangetown Show, both on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
Please check out their show. Check them out. And where can we find your music, guys?
Well, I play with a band called Gooding. Goodingmusic.com is the website for that group.
Oh, wait, you play for Gooding?
You've heard of them?
I've seen him at Madison a bunch of times. He used to play the Inferno up here back in the late 90s, early 2000s. Had the awesome multimedia presentation and stuff. Yeah, I know Gooding.
Inferno and at the King Club.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Awesome. Well, I can attest to its great music. So make sure you guys check it out. And where do you play? Where can we find your stuff, Mark?
Right now, I'm doing a solo project. It's just me. I play the drums, and I'm a drummer for hire.
Nice. So make sure if you were looking for a drummer in the Central Texas area to check it out. So anyway, I want to thank you guys very much for hanging out with us today, and we'll see you on the other side.
All right, thank you.
Happy haunting.
Okay, so Strangetown, real nice guys.
Great dudes.
And the most interesting story I thought they had was the EVPs, the electronic voice phenomenon, that they got from the Magnolia Hotel. And they talked to a little girl named Emma.
Oh, so sad.
Wow.
And so that's this week's demo track is a song dedicated to the little girl who was murdered in Seguin, Texas. Actually, she was murdered closer to New Braunfels. But her killer, William Faust, ran to Seguin, Texas to stay at the Magnolia Hotel. And Emma and her murderer are still there. And this song's for you, Emma. Emma, it's time to go to bed. Tonight you share your room with your mama's friend. A quiet, peaceful night sometime in 1874. Oh, Emma, you weren't supposed to be on the floor. Oh, Emma, you weren't supposed to be on the floor. Emma, I pray you never open your eyes. I wish you gave that bastard some kind of fight. Cut down by the axe of some no-good druggist. Oh, Emma, you died in the Texas dust. Oh, Emma, you died in the Texas dust. Faust saw what he did and he ran terrified. But before he ran away, he took his blade to his wife's eyes. But she said she never saw who committed the crime. Oh, Emma, wrong place at the wrong time. Sorry, Emma, wrong place at the wrong time. But he never got that far. He never got that far. Emma, I hope you got your revenge. 'Cause you're the one guarding his soul's prison. They say he's trapped forever and he'll never leave the room. Oh, Emma, sometimes we still hear you. But Emma, sometimes we still hear you.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. You can find us online at othersidepodcast.com. Until next time, see you on the other side.
Finish? Yep.
I'll wait for the
There's a
airplane.
plane landing.
To plane. That's really cool about Gooding. I didn't know that.